Heartland Season 20 is officially confirmed. Filming is happening in Calgary right now, and the question that has been keeping every single Heartland fan awake since December is still unanswered. Standing in a field of fireflies with Lindy beside her and Nathan on one knee, what did Amy Fleming say? I will share you some Season 20 behind-the-scene photos in between as well. Let's talk about that proposal, what it actually means, what Amy's answer is going to look like in Season 20, Episode 1, and why this is the most important decision this show has ever put in front of its central character. Because after 19 seasons of watching Amy love and lose and heal and grow, this moment is not just a romantic cliffhanger. It is an identity question. And I honestly think the way Season 20 opens is going to define everything this final chapter becomes. First, the weight of what Nathan asked. Standing surrounded by glowing fireflies, Nathan told Amy he cannot imagine a future without her and Lindy at his side. He asked her to build a life with him on Salt Spring Island. Come with me, he said. We could be a family. And I want to be very clear about what that sentence actually contains. Because it is not just a proposal. It is a relocation. It is a complete reimagining of Amy's entire life. Nathan is not asking Amy to marry him and stay at Heartland. He is asking Amy to leave Heartland, to take Lindy and go to an island off the coast of British Columbia and build something entirely new on land that has no connection to everything she has ever known. And that is the question Season 20, Episode 1 has to answer first. Not just yes or no, but what does Amy's answer actually mean for who she is? Because here is what I keep coming back to. Amy Fleming has been at Heartland since she was a child. The land is not just where she lives, it is where she became who she is. It is where Ty proposed to her, where Lindy was born, where every horse she has ever healed walked in broken and left whole. Heartland is not a setting for Amy's story. It is the story, and Nathan is asking her to write a new one somewhere else entirely. If Amy says yes, and I honestly think she does, Season 20, Episode 1 is not going to open on Celebration. It is going to open on the morning after. Amy sitting in that farmhouse kitchen, the proposal still fresh, Lindy asleep upstairs, and the full weight of what she just agreed to landing on her, the way big decisions always land. Not in the moment of saying yes, but in the quiet morning after when the fireflies are gone and the real questions begin. She tell Jack first or Lou first? How does she explain to Lindy, who has grown up thinking Heartland is the whole world, that they are leaving it? What does she do with her client horses, her training business, the life she rebuilt after Ty? All of it is going to rush in at once. And I think the first episode is going to give us Amy sitting with all of that before she has to say any of it out loud to anyone. And Nathan. For Nathan, the proposal marked the first time he truly stepped away from the expectations and damage tied to the Price family legacy. That emotional freedom is now likely to shape everything he brings into Season 20. He sold his ranch, he bought out Gracie's share, he settled the debt, and he stood in a firefly field and made himself completely vulnerable to a woman who has been hurt before. Nathan Price in Season 20 is not the cautious man who was still carrying his family's weight. He is someone who cleared the ground and asked Amy to come stand on it with him. And I think Episode 1 is going to show us that Nathan is both relieved and terrified. Because getting the yes, if he got the yes, means the next chapter actually has to begin. The Salt Spring Island Ranch has to become real. A life with Amy and Lindy has to be built from the ground up. And Nathan has spent his whole adult life managing a complicated family situation on land that never fully felt like his own. Now he is starting from scratch. And the person coming with him is one of the most deeply rooted people in the Canadian Rockies. Now, the part of this story I think is going to be the most emotionally complex in episode 1. Lindy. Amy is not just making this decision for herself. She is making it for a little girl who has grown up on Heartland, who has Jack and Lou and Tim and the horses and the land as the entire landscape of her childhood. And season 20 is going to have to show us what it looks like when Amy tries to explain this to Lindy, whether Lindy is excited or frightened or both at the same time, and how Nathan, who has been learning to be in Lindy's life gradually and carefully, navigates the shift from someone Amy is dating to someone who is going to be in Lindy's home every single day. That is the relationship I want to watch in season 20 more than any other. Not just Amy and Nathan and Lindy. Because how that bond develops on new land, in a new life, without the safety net of Heartland underneath them, is going to tell us more about who Nathan is than anything the show has done with him across 3 seasons. And then there is Georgie. Georgie shares huge news. A stable in Austria wants her to ride for them, hinting at a brand new chapter in her life. After everything with Phoenix, the quarantine, the competition, the heartbreaking reckoning with what his future looks like. Georgie standing at the edge of an international riding opportunity is the show reminding us that the people who love horses at Heartland do not stop when the road gets hard. They find a new road, and Austria is about as new a road as this show has ever offered. And Lou apologizes to Peter, not just for riding out to Wes's ranch without telling him, but for getting swept up in the chase. Peter accepted her apology. He told her she's a fighter. It's what made him fall in love with her in the first place. He just asked her to stop swinging so hard all the time. And I honestly love everything about that exchange. Because Peter did not ask Lou to be less than she is. He asked her to trust the people around her enough to stop fighting alone. And that distinction is going to matter enormously in season 20. I also want to say something about what Salt Spring Island represents as a setting. Because this show has always been rooted in Alberta, the foothills, the open sky, the specific quality of light in the late summer before the season turns. And Salt Spring Island, off the coast of British Columbia, is a completely different landscape. Greener, more enclosed, ocean nearby instead of prairie. And Amy, who heals horses partly by understanding their environment, is going to have to learn a new one. That is not a small thing. That is a whole new version of Amy Fleming discovering whether her gift travels with her or belongs to the land where it was born. Season 20 premieres on CBC in October 2026. And I want to be honest about something. This season is expected to be the last. Nothing has been officially confirmed by CBC, but the conversations around this renewal feel different from every previous one. And if this is the final chapter, then everything season 20, episode 1 sets up is not just the beginning of a new story. It is the beginning of the end of the longest story Canadian television has ever told. And Amy standing at the edge of leaving Heartland is exactly the kind of beginning a final season deserves. After 19 seasons, after Ty, after rebuilding, after everything, Amy Fleming might be ready. And Nathan Price might be exactly who she was waiting to be ready for. October cannot come soon enough. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Amy said yes? And if she did, do you think she can actually leave Heartland behind? Because I have been thinking about nothing else since that screen went dark in December. And I honestly think her answer is yes. But I also think leaving is going to be the hardest thing this show has ever asked her to do.